Hello, good morning, and happy Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us here at Glam Hive Live this morning. I'm so excited to be able to have this incredible conversation on trends. It's a spotlight conversation on trends and, of course, Zoom trends as well. It's the new way of life in 2020, and we have got some incredible panelists for this conversation. Of course, a couple housekeeping notes before we get started. At any time during the session, feel free to leave your questions, comments, and any tech support questions in the chat box. And we'll do our best to incorporate those conversations and questions into the panel throughout the 30 minutes. And of course, we'll save the last 10 minutes at the end for all of your questions. Again, so we'll have 30 minutes of chat and then 10 minutes for questions. Follow us, of course, at Glam Hive, and feel free to engage hashtag at Glam Hive Live. Special thanks, of course, to our key presenting sponsor today, Mary Kay and Mary Kay Global Design Studio. They truly celebrate a world where beauty, fashion, and empowerment are synonymous. Mary Kay champions creative industries that are diverse, inclusive, and innovative. Therefore, in fact, the company's founder, Mary Kay herself, was a trailblazer and innovator, completely ahead of her time, as are our panelists today. So let's jump right to it. This spotlight on trends. I'm so excited to welcome Pauline Renee. She is an incredible, renowned makeup artist, known for her time as a model in Paris. She is so sought after, known backstage at New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week. We've got Dina. She's a Hollywood stylist. She is making people look great both on and off camera for over 25 years here in Hollywood. We've got Kiara Lachey with us today, known for her incredible interior design and, of course, iconic wallpapers. And Sheridan Wood, a London-born hair artist, known for making his editorial looks to celebs second to none. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Happy Saturday.
Good morning.
Hey.
Saturday.
Morning. Morning.
So let's jump into this. What is your take on trends? Do you support them, yay or nay, and why are they important to fashion? Dina, I'd love to start with you.
For us, trends are really important. Part of the way I like to go about things is, really building a closet that's wearable through all the trends, but incorporating them. So build a good foundation of basics and then touch on the trends. Not all trends are going to be right for all people. So if there's something that screams to you, do it. If you see a trend that you maybe want to try, maybe don't spend a ton of money on it. If it's something that looks like it's a trend that's your personal style for a long time, then go ahead and spend a little bit more money on it. But I do think following trends and adding pieces in will keep you looking current. And I think that is an important part of style.
Pauline, how do you feel about that as a makeup artist?
For trends, for me personally, I always look at what the stylist is doing based on the shoot. And then if it's a real person, I always call it from runway to realness, where you can adapt it and make it where it's wearable. Also for Zoom, that we always can I always like to say, bring in your personality into your makeup as well, because, we all have, that's what I say, we're our own trendsetters. So.
We are our own trendsetters, just like David Bowie and all those great sun sketches behind you. I'm so inspired, by the way, with your setup. Kiara.
Oh, my background, all my drawings, yeah.
Love it. Kiara, what's your take on interior trends?
Well, I think one thing is this notion of trends can still be timeless if it's not so done. Like if a whole room is done very specifically to a moment, then it's less timeless. But if you have a skirted sofa and the room, and that might be trending right now, but the rest of the room is pretty timeless, then it kind of can go for a long time. And I also think having homes be reflective of your personality is similar to style too. And so to me, trends keep things kind of light and fresh and exciting, and then find their way into a more timeless manner. But I love a trend. I think it just brings fun to everything.
And Sheridan, do you love a trend?
Trends do make me scream just a little bit, I have to be honest. I would agree with all the ladies, but also kind of disagree to a certain degree too. I think trends are wonderful and very exciting, but they only tend to really suit a small demographic of people. So I think it is important to view the trends and be incited by them and inspired, but I would definitely be a little cautious of diving in, especially from my own experience. I find that a lot of stuff doesn't really suit me from trends. Oh, sorry, that's not my dog, by the way. In the closet. In the closet you go. But yeah, so basically just to try, but I would always get opinions from friends and family, take a lot of pictures before you actually start purchasing with trends. As I find with myself, I tend to end up getting a look that I really want over a whole year. So with the different trends in every season, I would take something that works for me, that really excites me. I'll add that into my closet, be like, great, don't have a full outfit yet. And then I kind of keep going. And the same thing with hair. Wigs are great for that. Trying on a wig, trying on a color trend or a cut trend before you dive in. That would be my best advice.
So Sheridan, I'm very curious, when should a person walk away from a trend?
All the time, no kidding.
Just for being honest.
I mean, when it really doesn't suit you. I mean, obviously, it's your own personal taste, and I know people really love trends and they love to dive in, and that's great. But from my own point of view and a style eye, I've been doing this for a long time. I do find that only about 15% of people will really suit certain trends. So you have to be really just really kind of take your time with it. Like I said, get opinions and see what works for you and your body shape and the way you look and your face shape, and all of that comes into play with trends.
Mhm.
Well, and sometimes it's not just an opinion, it's the paparazzi. Dina, you would know this and all the press. When should a celebrity or non-celebrity walk away from a trend, in your opinion?
I think
Yeah.
to Sheridan's point that the trend really has to suit you, whether it's a color trend and that color is not right for you, whether it's a shape trend and a fit trend and it's something that doesn't work for your body type, whether it's a style trend, and it's, if it's boho and you're super classic and it doesn't work for you. I think you don't just jump into it to join the bandwagon. I think you have to really stay true to who you are and present yourself in that way. And then again, if the trend suits you and it works for you, incorporate it. And don't incorporate like a ton of trends at once. Like pick one and go with that rather than, this color's on trend and this jewelry's on trend and this thing, and put them all together, because then it just gets a little bit overkill. So I think, again, you sort of start with your foundations and add in as it works for you.
That's a really interesting point. I find when it's all on trend, you can be a little bit of a fashion victim rather than incorporating one trendy piece to your look and classic staples throughout. Colleen, what's your take on when a person should walk away or avoid?
Well, that's what I was going to jump in, is saying, because, like when someone has a very like boho type of look on, sometimes you want to keep the makeup very minimal. I mean, the beauty of makeup is for me, it's you pick your best asset. And if the trend is about a lip, then find a really pretty lip. I mean, you don't have to do like the neon orange, and then you see a lot of glossy eyes. I mean, that's not sustainable for a regular person. However, you can use like a little shimmer and put on mascara. For me, it's like a little eyebrow. You give yourself a nice cheek, a little glow on the highlight, and don't overdo it, because makeup is an asset. But then when you start, going full on, where you have, you're trying to do the hair. And I agree with Sheridan. I mean, there's a balance where you can actually pull all your pieces together. Pick maybe one or two fun things, like a fun eyeliner. I mean, colored eyeliner is great if it's done well. I mean, it's like a little simple accent on the eye and some mascara, but don't do like that full, like a full on eye. And then you can overkill because it distracts. You want to enhance, not distract.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiara, are there ever times where you advise a client or a buyer to skip a trend, and why?
Yeah, so many times. I think one thing about trends with interiors, though, it becomes so done that you just can't stomach seeing it again. Like modern farmhouse right now has been so pushed that like it starts to feel specky and predictable and not exciting. Or even recently, I had a client that loves terrazzo, and terrazzo was trending a lot the past couple of years. But like she wanted to do terrazzo everywhere, kitchen counters, kitchen floors, kitchen everything. And I just felt like, God, this is going to feel so dated so quickly. I think we just let go and, have one terrazzo moment. But let's not carry it any further, because I think the danger of trends with an interior is that it's not like a lipstick shade. It's not like just a moment, right? You've committed, you've invested. This is your home. And then you walk in and you think, oh my God, this is so 2018 or 2019. And you're a little bit more beholden to that, because it was a bit of an investment to get there.
So interesting. That's right. It's hard to have just a moment when it's your home, and it's an investment that should be timeless. Are there any trends that you are surprised that have lasted this long, Kiara, especially when it comes to interiors?
Yeah, I'm also surprised by like some of the trends that ebb in and out. But one trend that I love that's lasted so long are like the Kagan, originally the Vladimir Kagan curved sofas. I remember when they started really surfacing, I thought, oh my God, let this be a trend that stays, because especially for apartments, it's a very helpful shape. And so that's lasting, and I love that. Other areas, like I love old school chintz, but not in the way that it was done in the 80s, where it's absolutely everywhere and it's like an explosion of chintz. But what I do love is just seeing little moments of like chintz pillows or one chintz covered chair thrown into the mix. But I think it's dangerous when things go, like if you look at a lot of developments right now, newer developments where they're still doing that industrial, very like cold, dark iron, the pale, very specific woods, that just now is so specific to a time and does not translate any further.
Sheridan, are you shocked by any hair trends that you've seen last a little too long?
Mullets, they just keep coming back round. So those are definitely something I just don't understand. And I've noticed a lot of pandemic mullets recently, obviously home dudes, and they're just never any good. I feel like they should have just stayed where they came from. But I do feel like a lot of trends, I feel like the trends that always kind of come around to the kind of the face framing fringe. Obviously we have Pauline modeling that for us at the moment, which looks gorgeous, and like the kind of classic kind of sexy out of bed hair, or those classic kind of beach waves. I feel like stuff like that really won't go away, because it is so beautiful and extremely wearable for nearly everyone, regardless of body size or face shape. So there's certain trends that will keep coming back in when certain celebrities are seen with a different look, and everyone gets really excited and wants to do it too. But those kind of ones are staples with hair trends, so they will just keep coming back in slightly different ways. But it's a thumbs up from me, because they're always really wearable and really beautiful with most looks.
Well, circling back, the mullet might be one to walk away from. Take some pictures.
Gotta thank Tiger King for that one.
Exactly. And Colleen, I'm very curious, what trend are you surprised has lasted this long in makeup?
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question. I mean, there's quite a number. I mean, obviously, how do we start? I mean, I think the one thing that's the heavy makeup, like the trend with the YouTube. I don't want to tread on anything, but I'm my history is I used a cystic page years ago, and it was all about beautiful skin. And I think what has been lost in makeup is this heavy, full-on trend that so many people are doing, where they have to feel this need to like put on 50 products on their skin, whereas you don't, and less is more. And that's where I always zero in, even with, date real people to red carpet. I think, making the skin look believable and touchable, you can still do little highlights and little nuances and still look amazing. And you're not going to be missing out. For me, that's one thing that it kind of scared me the most, because I come from a background of really less is more, and you can still make anyone look beautiful as long, when you understand, because I'm a painter, obviously, see, I'm an artist. So it's about understanding the face. So it's to me, it's more about an individual person. You can say, oh, I sell this lip and I think it would be really pretty on you. It's, from a new collection. And then that to me is how I kind of introduce trends. But I don't like all this heavy, crazy packed on makeup. Sorry.
Dina, what about you? Is there any trends you're shocked that are still around?
For me, I'm sorry, Dina. I'm sorry. I was like,
shocked, I don't know, because fashion is one of those places where things come and go and come and go. One of the things that I really have liked about it is I think in the past, I don't know, say decade or so, things are more acceptable. So it's not like I'm going to walk in, say hemlines. And used to be, if you were wearing, a knee length and maxis were in, you looked out. Or if you were wearing a short and a midi was in, then you were out. But I think it's a little bit more encompassing right now, where people are more about personal style and able to take trends that work, again, trends that work and don't. One of the things that I love that's a trend that used to be sort of trendy and in and out is animal print, and it's here to stay. And now it's kind of deemed a classic. It's a neutral now, whereas 10 years ago, that was not the case. It was like, oh my gosh, she's a little bit daring if she's wearing that. And now it's something everybody can incorporate, from a hairpiece to a blouse to a shoe. So I do love that, that trend. I'm glad that sort of stayed and gone from trend status to like reality status, where we can wear it all the time.
So Dina, on that note, what is your favorite fashion trend of quarantine? Birkenstocks, tie-dye, biker shorts, matching sets, and do you see these trends lasting?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the whole nature of how, obviously it's going to depend how the world goes back to the world being the world when we get in place. I have loved the sets, a coordinated set that you can lounge wear at home, like an up leveled, not a beat up old ratty t-shirt or sweatshirt and, your old high school joggers. So I love that trend. I do love the cozy cardigans and things like that. I think that's something that you're going to wear in your house, out of your house, and you're going to carry it forward. I love all the fun, fancy slippers that people are doing right now because we are home a lot. So that's really great. We're all dressed up from here up at the bottom. You still feel like you're home. So I think some of those things will last. It's just really going to where the world ends up. I think some people are just not going back into work. So they're going to have to commit to, okay, I'm waist up from now on. What should I do there?
Well,
I'm
luckily,
literally naked from the waist down.
Sheridan, you make it look so chic. But how does that relate to, trends in hair for quarantine? Love it, hate it, and are any of these trends going to last in your opinion?
I feel like I'm getting all the really hard questions.
Well, if you would have worn pants, Sheridan, we could have changed that.
I've had a lot of SOS probably about anywhere between 4 months and where we are now. I've had a lot of SOS texts and phone calls from people that have been deciding to get the shears out on their own hair or get the dye out. And I'm just like, don't do it. Don't do it. So I've done a lot of, which has been really fun. I've done a lot of Zoom, believe it or not, Zoom haircuts. They take a very long time. And normally it's someone's boyfriend or girlfriend or oldest child doing it. So don't do that at home. But it's been challenging, but it's been actually really fun. I'm actually really surprised at how easy it is to direct someone, but obviously very slowly and step by step.
Tiara, I know a lot of people are really paying attention to their interior design right now because we're spending so much more time at home. Have you seen any trends come out of quarantine and any trends that are going to last, like designing a Zoom corner?
Yes, two things. One is finding space to work from home and creating that space. And so if it's like LA homes, it's a bit different because they can find a room and they're going to say, okay, this is my home office. And then they create another area for the kids to have school. But a city apartment, there's a lot of secretaries happening right now, like a lot of pieces where the desk can flip up at the end of the day because it might be in the living room, which is also where their dining table is, which is, everything's happening in this one room, and they need the flexibility of it not looking and feeling like an office, but they need to be able to work from there. So I too, especially in the beginning, did very long Zoom and FaceTime walkthroughs of the house, finding that moment where they could kind of designate as their desk space. What's funny is a lot of times that desk space doesn't necessarily become where they do their Zoom calls. So then we kind of try to find this corner, or some people have said, let's do wallpaper. Let's really do up a room and make a backdrop that I can go to continuously and have that be my space to do the calls. So it's been two things. The other thing is also creating like really interesting pantry and storage areas, which has never really been a big thing. So the office space, the desk, the Zoom corner, and like places to stash stuff. I think because people are at home, and especially in apartments, they don't want clutter. They don't want to look like they're working from home, but they need to be able to do a lot all at once in this one space.
Thank you for that. Colleen, I'm very curious, in your opinion, what's the most popular and successful trend right now, and why do you think that is? I know we were talking about the kind of the really heavy overdone, but what are you really seeing that's very successful really for retail?
Well, I think for me, like during the quarantine, a lot of people started to obviously pare down, and less is more. So that is where I just focus. I've done a lot of like different Zoom, helping women who are on Zoom wanting to be able to do a quick and easy makeup. So that is where I've been focusing on helping, because a lot of people are intimidated. So especially when you're doing, since we're online and we're doing Zoom, it's lighting, and then it's showing somebody to say, okay, these are the little things. I mean, I was not kind of done a trend thing personally. I'm kind of like Sheridan. I think there's a lot of interpretation of it. So I just always look at the people, the individual, and try to hone in on their individuality, really, because that's really important for me when you're doing makeup, whether you're on the red carpet or on Zoom, you have to feel comfortable. So I like to just make everybody feel good about themselves and take what I, a cheek, or, like once I went back, a little bit of a liner, or a lovely little, I call it a daytime smoke. I love Charlotte Tilbury's little line from desk to dinner. So, those kind of things. That's how I work. So.
Dina, I'm very curious, are there any ways to kind of up level and give ourselves a seasonal update that's very trendy right now? What are your kind of 2 to 3 favorite fall, winter 2020 trends? I know we talked about a few just yesterday on Amazon, but I'm very curious, is it vegan leather? Is it soft bags? Is it knit, plaids, animal print?
So there are some things, and again, it's one of the big ones is vegan leather, like we discussed yesterday. And I do love it. And I love the affordability of it. I love the fact that you can, since we're talking all things Zoom here, have a t-shirt on. Like yesterday, I had just a t-shirt on. You're working around home, and then you've got to pop on a Zoom call fast, and you throw on this great leather jacket that's super comfy. It doesn't look weird like you're all dressed up, but it's not like an outdoor biker jacket or something like that. So I do love that. I do love this whole monochromatic trend that's happening. I think it's super comfortable. You just look put together again when you're going about your day and then you're having to hop on a Zoom call. That monochrome is just soft and easy and just lovely, and it works really well. And I also just love, colorful jewelry. I think that's another thing that's, sort of, with the holidays coming, people are adding in maybe color, a colored earring or a colored necklace or something like that. So things like that are easy to incorporate, and they're easy to work with your day. We're getting on these Zoom calls, but we're not sitting in front of this camera all day long. So we're going about our world, and then we're hopping on, and then we're hopping off. So I think it's those pieces that you can easily pop on to make it look put together and work, and then, okay, go back to your life. So that's what we're kind of doing with people.
Sheridan, is there an easy way, in your opinion, to get a kind of seasonal update? And what would that be right now, besides a 2-hour Zoom call with our children cutting their hair?
Well, I have to say, I've become completely obsessed. I feel like it's a new skill for me too, with wet setting the hair. I've done so many looks and Zoom editorials, even with actresses that aren't in Los Angeles for shoots, and they've worked really well. And it's something as simple as either using like kitchen tea towels, or you can use your bathrobe tie, and depends on the length of your hair. And actually, I've even used a kitchen roll. So basically, you have your hair damp straight out of the shower. It pretty much works on every hair texture, which is kind of amazing. And whether you want to do regular braiding, to have like a boho kind of 70s, like foofy, you can just kind of sleep on it like that and braid it regularly and take it out in the morning. It's kind of gorgeous. But if you want that more kind of styled, more Instagram kind of way, that's very popular at the moment, and obviously it's pretty much really beautiful on everybody. You literally put the bathrobe over the top, a bit like a spaniel, and you just literally wrap your hair backwards. You basically section your hair in two places, wrap the front back, wrap the back forward, and keep going round the bathrobe, and then hair tie at the bottom. Do the same the other side, and you can do that with tea towels that you just basically clip on to the top of the hair wherever your parting is. And again, you section your hair in 4 sections. So you have middle parting, for example. You have your tea towels attached here. You take 2 sections and wrap one way and one the other with a damp hair. If you have very frizzy hair, I would use conditioner or some kind of grooming cream on the damp hair first to control it. Sleep on that, let it out in the morning, a little dry shampoo or texture spray, and you will have salon perfect hair. And I have to say, it's worked nearly every single time I've done it with someone, and my hands haven't even touched their hair, and it's really worked. It's amazing.
Genius.
Well,
It's
I'm going to sleep
so
in
simple.
kitchen
So
towels
simple.
tonight.
It takes about 10 minutes. It
Last night.
literally takes 10 minutes. So quick.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm sleeping in my kitchen towels tonight. I feel bad for my boyfriend. It's about
Gold bathrobe.
I'm going to give you all the credit, Sheridan. So I'm very curious, Kiara, on where you think the interior trends are really coming from. I'd love to start with you, especially when it comes to interiors, because I know a lot of times we can credit the editorial pages in magazines, or Instagram, or even somebody like Joanna Gaines and what we're seeing on TV right now. But for interiors, where are you really finding kind of trend inspiration, and does that change?
I think that, and it's funny, I think actually like movie sets do influence trends a lot. Remember when I Am Love came out, that postmodern kind of Italian 1950s style trended really hard, and then is still here and still affecting things. But even it could just, even old films. Someone was referencing Barry Lyndon to me, which is more like a Versailles kind of palatial set. But I think that something takes off, whether it's a movie that's released or someone's revisiting a movie from the past, and that influences people. For me personally, I still love like art and reference books, and especially with lockdown, I think a lot of people are actually returning to reference books and art books and design books, and looking back and looking at old designers and kind of scanning or sending photos of pages to me. An old world of interiors, so similar to fashion, but they're looking at architectural digests, old ones, new ones, and sending images and inspiration. And I think that does affect trends. I also think that, like, frankly, just the internet, seeing something like Yellow Trace, which is it started as an Australian blog, what's happening there then kind of loosely comes over here, and clients will send me inspiration images from Pinterest that they've kind of dragged from all over the place. And that definitely leads us to trends, or kind of snowballs the trend into something bigger.
Pauline, what about you? Where are you finding your trend inspiration? Runway, models, movies?
All of it. I mean, I'm, like Kiara said, I'm an artist, so I'm also known for my face charts. I like to draw. I like to, like film, period films. It's actually funny because I was on a Zoom last night, and she was saying, oh my gosh, did you see the makeup in the Queen's Gambit? And she was showing me that 60s kind of mod line eyeliner, and I had just done a shoot based on that. I like to draw from history and make things unique. That's always, you see the trends. Of course, this year, due to the pandemic, the fashion week wasn't, people were struggling, right? I mean, you saw things on the runway, but we didn't have the wealth of shows that we normally have. I think there was a lot of minimal makeup just due to everything that was going on, or just having to doing it digitally. But I always like to draw from art, and I'm kind of what I like to say, I'm like a neo pre-Raphaelite Renaissance, because I love to look at the Renaissance, but I also love, like the Crown. There's so many, you can get such a wealth of inspiration from television now, because there are so many great shows and so much great makeup. And that's where I like to pull. I mean, I used to go to the Met Museum all the time, and I love going to museums and looking at archival. I mean, you can see I've got all my old magazines here from like 1997. I have the commemorative issue from Lady Di of Harper's. I collect all these old magazines and stuff like that. And, like, it is true, trends repeat themselves throughout the decade. So you can always draw and make something 90s and make it just as relevant now, maybe not as much, matte skin and whatnot, but I'm still wearing my Spice lippy. So,
I love that Spice lipping. But,
that's the best lip pencil. So yeah. And I mean, that's one thing due to masks now, the lip has become a focal point. I mean, the eye is the focal point, obviously, when you're wearing the mask, but their formulas now, like I did actually an actress who just recently moved to Nashville, and she had an 8-hour Zoom, and it was me and the hairstylist worked together. So I gave her a lippy, which actually there's several out that lasts all day, because even if you're going to have to go out and wear your mask, or you're just going to be talking all day, you want your lip to have staying power. So that's one thing. A lot of that for me, I'm focusing either on the eye or, saying, do this lippy. This is, bulletproof, because I have worked with some clients that come to me because that was my COVID project to build this studio. And then they perform, but they have to wear the mask. So there's like the Maybelline matte ink, Max Powder Kiss. There's several brands that are out there that are just bulletproof. So you can take I always say you can take your mask off and not look like The Cure when you've taken it off, or had a really, you don't look like you've had a snog somewhere. So anyway.
Well, I personally had that moment. So thank you, because, that is so relevant right now. And I've almost given up on the lip because I couldn't find one that stayed. So I really appreciate that.
Because when you take your mask off, you can have a full-on eye. And I mean, obviously the skin, there's some products that I use that just keep the skin really glowy, do a little concealer. But when you take your mask off, you still want to have a bit of lippy. You don't want to have to be like, trying to putting it on real fast. It's nice to kind of take it off and go, I've got lippy. So yeah, they've come, and a lot of people are developing products to have staying power because they have to,
Mm-hmm.
Dina, what trend can we expect to find you in this season, and what do we have to look forward to?
Well, I think for me, one of the trends that's happening right now, again, with the staying home and everything else, is this whole chunky cardigan. We're going into winter, these chunky, fun sweaters. Yes, there you have it. Exactly.
Exactly.
You are on trend.
Thank you.
They're comfortable. They're cozy. They're cute. There's one for every age, for every body type. It's something that you can put on really quickly. So I have kind of upped my game in the item sweater market, just because it is a quick fix. I have, like in back of me, I have a little animal print one. I love a cold shoulder moment. I love, just a detail, like, sweaters with like a little collar thing happening, or a little poof on the sleeve. So I do love that trend, and then there's variety within the trend. So I think that's something easily incorporated for everybody.
And what about you, Sheridan? What trends can we spot on you this season? I love your look, by the way. And what do we have to look forward to?
More doom and gloom, and just being stuck at home, painting your own nails. That's what we're going to be looking forward to. I saw a question pop up on the screen from someone at home about lipsticks. So I just wanted to address that quickly. I've got two options. Charlotte Tilbury lip pencils are amazing and have really good coverage and stay on really well. Or you could just draw a lipstick shape on your mask. Done. Sorted.
Done and dusted.
Done and dusted. And love a good lippy. Just be careful with your cuppa when you got a lippy on because it smudges. Anyway, but I think for me, I have to say I do have a little experience of makeup, not very much. But since the pandemic, I've been diving in on makeup, and I have to say I have more makeup now than Sephora, and I've been practicing all these looks. I've just had so much time. So I have to say what I've really enjoyed for me personally is obviously I can do my own hair, so I cut and color my own hair at home, and I'm very good at it. But I've really enjoyed having some kind of eye makeup on or doing my nails. I'm like become obsessed. Not today. I just took it off for the Zoom because it was all chipped. But I've got really into doing nail colors and maybe a little liner. Just pop down to Trader Joe's. It's been really cheering me up. So I feel like at the moment, while things are still a little miserable, just do whatever you can. Look for the small comforts and the small happiness. I think it's really, really, really important.
We've got another question from Suzanne, and she wants to know, Sheridan, in your opinion, what are the best eyeshadows?
Well, I have to say, I do love MAC. I do have a couple of MAC palettes hidden in my drag queen closet of goodies, and also I do love the Charlotte Tilbury ones, which is what Colleen mentioned. There's a Dusk Till Dawn palette in particular.
Yeah, Dusk to Dinner.
Oh my God, it's my absolute favorite because it just has something for everything. Whether you're going to day to night, there's so many gorgeous looks and they blend really well. But obviously with any kind of palette, I love has some kind of gloss or shimmer on the lid. And I found that there's one particular palette from NARS that is like a highlight palette. I can't remember the name of it. It has 3 types of highlights.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. That I find mixing that with the Charlotte Tilbury just gives you that wow factor, and it just makes you feel great.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing your time and your insight with us. We so greatly appreciate it. Before we go, I would love for each of you to share any social media handles so everyone can follow along with you and, of course, connect with you on social. So, Sheridan, please share yours now.
Mine is at Sheridan Ward Hair, all one word, at Sheridan Ward Hair.
Thank you, Sheridan. And what about you, Kiara?
Mine is my name, Chiara Dereche, just at Chiara Dereche, and the wallpaper is Maison C Wallpapers.
Thank you. And Colleen?
It's at Pauline Renee Makeup.
Thank you. And Dina, of course.
It's at DMC Styles.
Well, thank you all so much. Of course, I'm at Jeslyn. Don't forget to follow at Glam Hive and connect by #GlamHiveLive. We're so grateful again to our very special presenting sponsors today, Mary Kay, for helping us look and feel our best. Thank you again to Steph Sprangers, of course, the founder of Glam Hive, and we look forward to continuing to connect all day long. Stay safe, stay well.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.